Well, good afternoon, or morning, I guess. Honestly, I can't be sure when you're watching this video, but in any case, hello, and welcome to Cord Cutting Weekly. For those that are new around here, this is a part of the week where we round up the biggest stories in cord cutting and streaming. Elsewhere on this channel, Jess gets into live Q&A sessions on Wednesday, and then on Thursdays we focus on topical deep dives. Case in point, this week we turned our attention to Fubo TV and did a full review of the live TV streaming service, its new pricing, plans, add-ons, and more. So if you've been curious about what Fubo TV has to offer, we'll have a link to that video up in the corner over here somewhere, plus a link down in the video description as well. And speaking of that video description, all the stories we're about to talk about today, we'll have links to those in the video description down below, so you can find out more about each story over on our news website, cordcuttersnews.com. And now, with all that established, let's talk about some news. And we're going to start with Peacock. Now, as you might have heard by now, the new NBC Universal streaming service is finally available on Roku's streaming platform. Now, this story actually started developing late on Friday of last week, and Jess followed the developments closely as NBC Universal and Roku seem to be on the verge of a deal. However, this all started with what appeared to be a distribution dispute between the two sides, and eyebrows were raised once we heard Comcast would be removing NBC TV Everywhere from Roku's platform. And then, not long after that, we reported on an agreement that had been reached and that Peacock would be part of that new deal. After that, we got word indeed that Peacock would be coming to the platform at some point in the future. First, we heard it was going to arrive in the coming weeks, but as the weekend rolled on, we started hearing that the app was already starting to show up on Roku's platform if you knew where to look. And then by Monday, Roku officially confirmed that the app was indeed available. Of course, this all begs a few more questions, like when will we see a similar deal for HBO Max, and will we see either of these services come to Amazon's Fire TV in the future? Well, we'll keep monitoring for those developments, but in the meantime, if you've given Peacock's app a shot on your Roku device this week, feel free to let us know what you think so far in the comments section down below. Was it worth the wait? Let us know. And speaking of Amazon, we've got some hardware news. Amazon hosted a virtual event on Thursday to showcase its upcoming lineup of devices across a number of product lines. And I know this may shock you, but Amazon makes a whole lot of products right now, and chief among them are its Fire TV devices. The latest Fire TV models include an updated Fire TV Stick. Now that's the non-4K model, just to be clear. Amazon says this new model is 50% faster than the one it replaces and features a new low power mode to reduce energy consumption. That one retails for $39.99 and will start shipping around September 30th of this year. And Amazon also confirmed a rumored new entry in the lineup, the Fire TV Stick Lite, and it slots in underneath the new Fire TV Stick. This one also sports better performance than the previous Fire TV Stick, but it misses out on a couple features, including some key remote control options like a dedicated power button or volume controls. And that new Fire TV Stick Lite will retail for $29.99 and will also start shipping on the 30th. Amazon also announced some key updates to its Fire TV menus and interface at this week's online showcase. The new look should offer up more customization and personalization options for Fire TV users. On the main menu, you'll be able to scroll through different apps and see previews of available content. You can also customize things by pinning your favorite apps to make accessing them easier and faster. These new menus support up to 6 individual profiles, each with their own personalization options, watch lists, and more. And kids' profiles will, of course, have access to family-friendly, age-appropriate content as well. On top of all that, Amazon's making Alexa a little more helpful as well, enabling new voice controls, including the ability to switch to your profile just by asking Alexa. The new Fire TV devices should come equipped with a new interface from the get-go, and other Fire TV devices will be updated in the coming weeks and months. Moving on to streaming services, Sling announced it's trying out a new feature that will allow users in different locations to enjoy the same movie or show together. Now, we've seen variations on this virtual group watch feature pop up at other services over the past few months as companies look to capitalize on the stay-at-home and social distancing behaviors. In Sling TV's case, the company's calling its take on the feature Sling Watch Party, and it allows subscribers to share their viewing experience with up to 3 other users. The feature works with both live and on-demand content on the company's Sling Orange, Sling Blue, Sling Latino, and Sling International plans, and each participant can control their own video camera, volume, and more. You'll also be able to chat via both text and video. The feature is currently in beta testing form, and here's how to try it out if you're interested. You'll need to start out on Google's Chrome and sign in to Sling via the browser. Pick an eligible title and you should see an option to create watch party. At that point, you can invite up to 3 friends via link or email, and if you currently do not have 3 friends, well, you'll probably need to take the extra step of making 3 friends first. But you should be able to click Start Watching, and away you go. And if you do try this new feature out, feel free to let us know what you think of the experience in the comment section down below. In other streaming news, we're still learning more about the upcoming revamp of CBS All Access, soon to be known as Paramount Plus. So in addition to what's coming to the service, we're hearing more about what's probably not coming to the service, and that includes Showtime. Apparently, Showtime has seen strong enough growth in recent months, especially during the pandemic, that parent company Viacom CBS is opting to keep the streaming service separate from the upcoming Paramount Plus. In fact, Viacom CBS's Bob Backus describes Showtime's streaming service offering as strong enough to stand on its own. The service has reportedly added more users in the first 6 months of 2020 than it did in the last 2.5 years combined, so it looks like Showtime will remain an add-on option for the time being. But we'll continue to keep an eye on Viacom CBS's streaming plans for the near future. In the meantime, is anyone out there among the new subscribers to Showtime? If so, feel free to let your fellow cord cutters and streamers know what you think of the service so far down below. Moving on, let's talk about Quibi. And by now, we've all heard the stories about the streaming service's struggles, including a rough start that was made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic and the difficulties it's had in growing a subscriber base. And this week, we've started to hear reports that the company is exploring some strategic options. Some of those options, according to the Wall Street Journal, include raising more funding and possibly exploring some sort of merger deal with a special purpose acquisition company. Quibi founder Jeffrey Katzenberg and CEO Meg Whitman released a statement saying they're committed to continuing to build Quibi and offer a great experience to users and a great value to shareholders, but they didn't elaborate on potential next steps for the streaming service. For now then, we'll continue to keep a close eye on the company, including any major deals or announcements they have in store for the future. Okay, next up we have a couple of sponsored posts. And if you've been here before, you know what I'm going to say next, and that is, with all sponsored posts, all opinions remain our own. So with that established, let's first talk about TBD. So the TBD channel says their aim is to bring you the best of the internet, and they launched a new series this week called Outlook Icons Revealed. It's an interview series from Outside TV that profiles athletes, journalists, musicians, leaders, and more. The first episode of the series featured surfer and musician Donovan Frankenreiter and explores his life in Hawaii and how his surfing and music careers have evolved. And you can check out tbd.com for more details on the show, including local airtimes, or you can catch the series on the free streaming service Stir. Next up is a sponsored post from Comet. The network is hosting a Godzilla-themed movie marathon this weekend, specifically on Saturday, September 26th. They're calling it Godzilla's Classy Monsters Marathon, and it features a series of monster movies featuring, you guessed it, Godzilla and some of his closest pals, or enemies, I guess. The marathon starts on the Comet network this Saturday at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. And if you want to check out the full list of movies, well, we have a link to that post down below in the video description. In game console news, we reported last week that pre-orders for the Xbox Series X and Series S would be going live this week, and despite having a much clearer idea of exact timing compared to the PlayStation 5's rather chaotic pre-orders last week, folks still had plenty of issues successfully ordering one of Microsoft's new consoles. But as far as actual streaming service support goes, we got our first hint of what's to come thanks to some updated info on Sony's product pages. Specifically, the PlayStation 5's media remote was shown off weeks ago with 4 unlabeled buttons that we assumed at the time would be dedicated launch buttons for specific streaming services. And this week, Sony updated its product pages to showcase exactly which services those would be. And as you can see from the image on your screen now, the $29.99 media remote offers direct access to Disney+, Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube. Of course, it's highly likely the PS5 will support a bit more than 4 streaming and entertainment services, but it is interesting to see who gets top billing on a first-party accessory. As we've reported in the past, both the next-gen Xbox line and the PlayStation 5 are touting much faster storage systems. Naturally, the big focus there is in improving games, especially when it comes to loading times or switching between titles, but those speed improvements should also mean both platforms will be highly competent stream devices as well. In any case, we won't have too much longer to find out. The PS5 line is scheduled to launch here in the US alongside that media remote on November 12th. Meanwhile, the Xbox Series X and the lower-cost Series S should arrive a couple days earlier on November 10th. And there you go. Those were some of the top cord-cutting and streaming stories from the past week. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and if this happens to be the first time you've checked out our channel, we'd love it if you stuck around. Maybe click the like and subscribe buttons down below as well. Like I mentioned at the top of this video, our very own Jess dives into live Q&A sessions on Wednesdays with our viewers and readers, and then on Thursdays we do topical deep dives like this week's focus on Fubo TV. And of course, on Fridays you have weekly news wrap-ups like this one. And next week, believe it or not, we'll be coming to you from the month of October. That's right, we're almost through September here at Cord Cutting Weekly. Until then, though, my name's Philip Palermo. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a safe and happy weekend. Take care.